Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. Tony, LeBron passed Larry Bird on the playoff scoring list. What have you passed lately?
Tony Kornheiser, a kidney stone. You want it?
No. In a word, you haven't passed a kidney stone. That's the kind of thing that sends you to the hospital, and you haven't been in the hospital.
I will tell you this. I have never actually passed a kidney stone, but I have friends who have done that, and it appears to be extraordinarily painful and awful. And I'm glad I don't have them. I do not want kidney
And I don't
stones.
want it if you do pass it. That's an assist I don't want to score on.
Believe me,
Thank you very much.
It's a collector's item. It's going right on eBay if I do. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Blake Griffin douses a fan, Brent Seabrook gets suspended, and the Raptors GM says bleep Brooklyn. But we begin today with the significant result that 5 of 8 visiting teams, lower-seeded teams, won their opening NBA playoff game. Most surprising was Atlanta's comfortable victory in Indiana, and by comfortable, I mean a second-half rout. The Atlanta Hawks are a sub-500 team. The Pacers were number 1 in the East, and they looked non-competitive. Wilbon, just one loss, or are the Pacers in serious trouble?
Serious trouble, Tony. I mean, you can have both things can be true. Just one loss, but the Pacers are in some trouble here. I mean, we talked about the free fall. We talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I know from talking to Pacers players, because I was around those guys a couple of times, they thought they were going to be able to just sort of hit a reset button. Get to the playoffs. Okay, let's get this behind us. We know we're a good team. We'll get it all back. And then you see them down by 18 at home to Atlanta. No, Tony. Serious trouble. This is serious malaise for the Indiana Pacers.
I tend to agree with you that it is both serious trouble and just one loss. If this was the old days with a 3 of 5 or a 2 out of 3 in the first round, there'd be nothing that you could recover from, I wouldn't think. But it's the first game of 7, and you don't want to get carried away. The easiest game to recover from is the first game of 7, and yet we both find ourselves looking at a team that has disappeared. Roy Hibbert has disappeared. He is of no consequence to the other team out there. That bond that everybody talked about among the Pacers, 5 is 1 and 1. That
apparently gone.
Appears to be gone. Now, could this all happen from simply trading Danny Granger? Was he that important?
Well, Tony, trading Granger mattered, but also getting Evan Turner, who is a threat to the existence there of Lance Stephenson, a free agent. This team has his bird rights. Oh, what the irony, Larry Bird rights. The bird rights, they own him. He can't get a big payday if Evan Turner is there ready to take his job. There are real chemistry issues, and Hibbert has nothing to do with that. I mean, not really. But, Tony, it is like the old commercial, you know, they've fallen and they can't get up.
Exactly.
We keep waiting for the Pacers to get up, and they don't appear to be able to.
Exactly, and Vogel is a friend of the show.
Yes.
But this has the Marty Schottenheimer scent all over it of finishing great in the regular season. You lose the first round of the playoffs?
To a sub-500 team.
Really?
They got to rally. But we've been saying that for weeks now. So there was another surprise that I know made you smile. The Warriors beating the Clippers in Los Angeles Saturday.
Loved it. Loved it.
Okay, but there's a sidebar we have to get to first, Tony. Blake Griffin, who was limited to 19 minutes because he was in foul trouble constantly, punctuated the 6th and final foul by tossing a cup full of water casually over his shoulder like he doesn't know he's hitting the only Warriors fan in the zip code. Tony, Blake says he didn't do this on purpose. Tell me you're not buying that junk.
You know, I watched the game, and I don't really remember this particular sequence. I was concentrating on the fact that nobody on either team could shoot foul shots at the end of the game, and it got very sloppy and was prolonged for no reason at all. And then today, I've now seen this 3 or 4 times, and I believe it's deliberate.
Oh, yes.
I believe it's deliberate, and I believe that Blake Griffin has to be fined for this. And I think that it goes with his persona of a guy who doesn't necessarily fight on the court, but is accused of every other opponent by being overly dramatic, these grand gestures, flopping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this looks like it's deliberate, Mike.
Tony, it does. Look, in live time, you see him toss the water, and then he sort of finishes it off. Like he's got a little bit in the Dixie cup. Oh, let me give it that extra oomph-ah. And he knows the guy's wearing it's a coincidence? Look, I like Blake Griffin. I like his personality. He's fun to talk to. He's a smart guy. But there are so many players in the league who find Blake Griffin annoying for whatever reason. And this now goes on the resume. You often talk about a reel.
Yeah, highlight reel.
And so now, and Tony, it's worse because the Clippers lost. You and I thought that while we love watching Golden State, we thought on Friday that Golden State was in big trouble, that the Clippers could lay the smackdown on them, and that might be the second most surprising Game 1 result.
I want to just mention this because I know you said that Griffin was in a lot of foul trouble and only played 19 minutes, and that's costly for them. But Iguodala, who's very important to the Warriors, he only played 20 minutes. He was in foul trouble as well, sort of a wash. Toronto GM Masai Ujiri, hope I get that right, let his language get a little too colorful over the weekend. He was addressing a pep rally for the Raptors, trying to stoke the crowd, and you know what? Let's listen.
I got one thing to say before we go into the game.
Whoops. Ujiri quickly apologized, but let's face it, the crowd loved it, and it must be pointed out, Brooklyn won the game. Wilbon, is this something that deserves real outrage?
You know, Tony, 5, 10, 15 years ago, I would have said absolutely not. Look, I know Masai. The crazy thing is if you listed all the general managers in the league, 1 through 30, and you said who is the least likely to be involved in something like this, Masai would be that guy. He's just the most sober-thinking, right-minded person. And so when you see him involved in this, years ago I would have said no. Now everything's a big deal. Everything's too big a deal. Leagues are so image conscious. They don't want this out there. But when you go to a rally, you shouldn't go to a rally. Executive coaches, they should never go to these things. I guess it's a big deal. What do you think?
I don't think it deserves real outrage, but I do think it deserves a real fine. He's the GM. This got to cost him $100,000. He deliberately taunted the other team, the other crowd. He deliberately cursed into a live microphone. And those of us who do radio and TV, we know what that's like.
Live in fear of that.
Adam Silver's got to wake up. I mean, this is a $100,000 deal to me. And, you know, before the playoffs started, Brooklyn tanked. And they tanked deliberately to get Toronto.
They did.
And the Wizards were happy because they wanted Chicago. Yep. And now both of those teams look like they know exactly what they were doing.
Yeah, Brooklyn did tank, even with all their guys on the floor. And I'm sure that made Masai angry. And you cannot go to a rally. They want you to say something that is going to incite them.
And he did, and they loved it. Crowd loved it. Man. I don't think the commissioner's got to love it. Don't think so.
No, the commissioner can't love it. Baseball had a pretty big brawl yesterday, and it's probably not a stunner, Tony, that Carlos Gomez was at the center of it. Pirates pitcher Garrett Cole took exception that Gomez, and I love this phrase, pimped out a shot off the wall. No matter that he sprinted the last 180 feet for a triple, the damage was apparently done. Bench is emptied. Gomez, who's been contrite in the past and involved in these confrontations, said he did nothing wrong this time. Did he?
You know, I think he's a little bit wacky. Last year, McCann blocked the plate on him with Atlanta as McCann took over the idea of being the police chief of baseball, and we made fun of that. But then this year, when Gomez hit a home run against Atlanta, he sprinted around the bases. That was total sarcasm. In this particular case, he flips the bat, and then he later says, you know, I didn't even think I got it. I thought I made it out. That's why I flipped the bat. That's ridiculous. He crushed this ball to straightaway center field. I don't believe his explanation for last year when he said he was contrite, because I don't remember it last year, and I don't believe this year. And I think he's the first guy to get physical, you know, and end the talking and get into, you know, something of greater consequence. So I do blame him. I don't blame him completely. I blame Cole a little, but I blame Gomez. I do.
Well, the thing is, are we so sensitive now? And this we talk about everything being a big deal. Everything, Tony, now has to be examined. And it's not just social media. This was real time. This is people squaring off. You know, I mean, seriously, can't anybody just come up with some trash talk or a funny line and then let it go? If you don't want to, if you're so offended, don't give up a shot off the wall.
Okay, but are you okay then? Are you okay if Cole comes back and he doesn't do anything to Gomez and he drills the next batter? He drills him in the side. Are you okay with that?
I'm not okay with drilling the next batter. If you're still in the game and you want to drill him, you want to drill Gomez, I might be okay with that. If you want to play a little chin music. But everybody's so hypersensitive. You know what I mean? I mean, the first little thing now, there's got to be a dust-up.
Well, wait. Let's just go back in time a second. You are absolutely convinced that Blake Griffin deliberately threw that water. And you think Gomez didn't deliberately flip that bat?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, okay, so he flipped the bat. Really? If you don't want him to flip his bat, don't give up the shot off the wall.
Mike, there's got to be a certain amount of consistency here, a certain amount. The most important play in the Blackhawks-Blues Game 2 on Saturday was the hit Chicago's Brent Seabrook put on St. Louis captain David Backes.
Ugh.
It knocked out Backes, who won't play in Game 3 tonight. It also resulted in a 3-game suspension for Seabrook, not to mention an overtime loss for Chicago. Wilbon, you are in Chicago for that game.
Yep.
Is 3-game suspension enough for this hit?
It's a point of view. It's enough for me as a guy who roots for the Blackhawks who doesn't want to see the team's second-best defenseman out for perhaps the rest of the season. We're talking about the defending champions here. Seabrook deserves to be suspended, and however long they give him, given the significance and the importance of Backes to his lineup, Tony, you can give him. Because that hit it's just egregious. You can't make that play and cost your team victory. The Blackhawks are in a situation now, Tony, and they're champions, and they've come back from 3-1 as recently as last year against Detroit, okay, to win that series. But they're on the precipice here. They have to win tonight. Their season, their championship is on the line here, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be 1-1. Whatever the league gave him, whatever the league gave Seabrook is justifiable easily.
This is a vicious hit. It's a totally illegal hit. Forget about the consequences in the game that you would argue that it gave a 2-man advantage to St. Louis, which scored with 6 seconds to go to tie the game, and then won in overtime.
Thank you.
I don't believe that 3 is necessarily enough. I think that it has to be 3 and indefinite after that. If Backes can't play,
and he's not playing tonight,
I don't see how you can let Seabrook back on the ice. I mean, I just don't see how you can.
I'm not about to put up any resistance toward that argument. I'm looking at this now, like a dope wearing a Bobby Hull jersey, waving a foam finger, which I will be.
Which you will be.
In a couple of hours. I will be that dope. But this is, Seabrook, you can't. When you're a championship team, and the Blackhawks have made a lot of stupid penalties in the 2 games in this series. They've done things, Tony, that are so uncharacteristic. Things they did not do on the way to 2 championships the last 4 years. You're like, what the heck is going on? You can't commit that egregious mistake.
How do you feel about the report that a member of the Blackhawks said to Backes, wakey, wakey, Backes?
Well, I don't know. We know how violent hockey is and things people say to each other. I just care about what's going to happen tonight in a couple of hours.
Tonight you're going to be out there looking like a dope. We'll see what happens. Let's take a break, but coming up, my Wizards beat your Bulls in Game 1. The words, eat it, come to mind.
Plus, Bryce Harper gets benched. He's your boy.
Yeah.
And Zdeno Chara laughs at a Red Wing who tried to fight. What number was Bobby Hull? What number's on my jersey tonight?
I'm going to guess 8.
No,
close?
9.
9. I was close.
Jim Pappin was 8.
I was close.
Pardon the Interruption is presented by the new Captain Morgan White Rum. Raise your glass, always in moderation. Part of Happy Hour.
It's mail time, where our intern picks out 4 issues, and then we lock them back in the dog crate. Let me get the first one here.
Mail time! A dog crate? Really? Do you want the people out there thinking we actually have dog crates?
Dog crate. Was the loss to the Wizards more evidence that the Bulls don't have a playoff gear?
Playoff gear to me is something you wear in the games in the postseason. No, I don't understand that. The Bulls lost Game 1 to Brooklyn last year and won in 7 in Brooklyn. So I don't care about that. The Wizards outplayed them on a number of fronts, and Nene was the star of that. The Bulls had no fire. They had bad mistakes. Even the great Tom Thibodeau, who I love as a coach, made some moves, not getting Boozer, or didn't make some moves. Boozer and Dunleavy back in the game when they needed offense. The Bulls played terribly on defense. They made a number of mistakes, and they better make adjustments, or this series, if it goes back 2-0 to Washington, I don't know that it even comes back here to Chicago for Game 5.
This has nothing to do with the notion of playoff gear. It has everything to do with the fact that the Bulls can't score, which is exactly why Washington wanted to play him in the first place. And for those of you out there wonder why the Bulls might be interested in Carmelo Anthony, it's because if they got Carmelo Anthony, they would have won this game by 20. I mean, and by the way, to your point about not better winning the next game, Bradley Beal and John Wall were 7 for 25 in this game. They're not going to be that bad again.
No.
They're not. So.
And if Gortat and Nene continue to play, the Bulls played no defense. They gave up 49% shooting. They normally allow a team 43% shooting. That's a big number at home, 49%.
Did the Rockets get hosed on the call Dwight Howard fouled out on?
Well, apparently the league thinks so, because they've now come out and said that Dwight Howard should have been at the foul line. Hosed, I don't know. Anytime you can actually keep Dwight away from the foul line in a close game,
that's right.
It might help the Houston Rockets because Dwight was, 9 of 18 or 9 of 17
At one
from the
point
foul
missed
line.
4 in a row when they went to hack a Howard.
So I don't know that, putting Dwight at the foul line doesn't guarantee you of anything. Look, Houston had their chances, as Kevin McHale said very accurately after that game, to sort of extend the lead. They were up double digits late, like the Bulls were in the second half. I'm not going to say they were hosed.
I'm probably the wrong person to ask about having sympathy for Dwight Howard.
I know, you're going nowhere with that,
Howard had 27 points and 15 rebounds. That's
He had a good game.
Why we were talking about Howard is beyond my comprehension. When LaMarcus Aldridge had 46 and Damian Lillard had 31, and the question is, who's exactly guarding those fellas? This is not about Dwight Howard and being fouled. This is who's playing those guys.
Tony, they go in the same breath as Jordan Pippen. That's a Jordan Pippen, a 40-plus, 30-plus tag team effort. Look for Portland. Play well on the road.
Should the Nats pull their nothing but hustle ads featuring your boy Bryce Harper
my boy.
after he got pulled for a lack of hustle on Saturday?
No, don't pull the ads. Let them run. And Bryce Harper, I didn't find this the biggest mistake of all. It's a ground ball back to the pitcher, and the ball's out of his hands. He turns around. Okay, fine. All right, Matt Williams, new tough guy Matt Williams said, sit him down. It's fine to sit him down. Harper, to me, Tony, is one of the overstated players in the league. He's playing against Mike Trout now for the next few games. Mike Trout is so much better a player than Bryce Harper. It's not even funny. They shouldn't be mentioned together. But leave the campaign out there. It will remind Harper. He's a terrific young player. Might need a little reminder every now and then.
I don't disagree with anything you've said so far, and I agree that when you hit a comebacker to the mound, you have no chance of beating that out.
Right.
And I thought Matt Williams not only overreacted, and you want to be a tough guy, fine, but he really called Harper out by name after that game, and he really crushed him. And at some point, the general manager and the owner are going to sit down and they're going to wonder, does Bryce Harper want to continue to play here if he gets singled out quite like this? What they've got going for him is he's young, and he said, I agree with what the manager did.
He did. He handled it well. But, Tony,
you can't do this 5 times. You can't do it once.
Matt Williams is already slurping him 48 hours later. He's slurping about how great. So I don't, but let's see.
Should Brendan Smith be embarrassed that Zdeno Chara laughed at him when he wanted to fight?
No. Brendan Smith should be grateful because he's giving away 60 pounds and 7 inches. And finally, Chara, who's like, it's like Shaquille O'Neal on skates. He just says to him finally, really, do you want to really do this? And he let it go. Because the other guy at that, in the playground, Tony, when you're a kid, you're really trying to muster the nerve to fight a bigger, older, tougher kid. And you're saying, hold me back. And you really want somebody to hold you back. That's what happened.
Well, you notice when all the sticks were dropped, there was one guy skating backwards and one guy skating forward. I think he should probably, the way he was treated with the face wash and all of that, I think he should probably be a little bit embarrassed. I also agree with you, he should be grateful because you live to fight another day and another guy. You don't want to take on a guy who looks like one of the Klitschkos. You don't want to do that. That would be a tremendous mistake. So you get out of that situation. Get out.
Was this like Joe Louis going against Primo Carnera, except it was Joe Louis?
Well, and there's a difference there. Enough in there.
This guy's not Joe Louis.
Time for a break, but on the way, a look back at Big Poppy's bleeping tribute to Boston.
Plus, the Knicks, T-Wolves, Jazz, they're now all in the market for new head coaches.
There's nothing but hustle. There's nothing but an attitude. Beat somebody. Win 2 in a row. And then worry about an attitude.
Tony,
Happy time, people. Happy 34th birthday, Tony Romo. Sneaky old, don't you think? By virtue of being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Romo is subject to a scrutiny that few of his peers have to endure. He's probably the most debated and recognized non-drafted quarterback since Kurt Warner.
Tony, you think he's at the point where he could be a sympathetic figure now? So I really root for Tony Romo, even though I can't root for the Cowboys. I like him.
Happy anniversary, Big Poppy. On or around this day last year, you addressed the Fenway Park crowd in the first Red Sox home game after the Marathon bombing and proudly stated, "This is our bleeping city." In related marathon news, the men's race was won today by an American, Meb Keflezighi, for the first time since 1983, and thankfully there were no incidents throughout the 26.2-mile routes.
An emotional day, Tony, I'm sure, an emotional race and finish.
Happy trails, Mike Woodson, and the most highly anticipated dropping of a shoe since Imelda Marcos Woodson was fired today along with his entire staff. While announcing the firing, Phil Jackson said no one individual should be blamed, and yet he had no trouble firing Woodson. Everybody and his brother is saying Steve Kerr will get the job. Do you agree?
Tony, that seems to be Steve Kerr's to decline if he wants to, but, you know, Phil is something of a godfather, a basketball godfather to Steve Kerr. It's hard to see him turning it down if it's gone this far and Phil wants him to do it.
Time to find out we messed up, Reali.
More from Trails in NBA coaching. Jazz not renewing the contract of Tyrone Corbin. Rick Adelman retiring from coaching. Minnesota going to stay on as a consultant.
Here we go to the big finish. Joakim Noah, your boy, named NBA
Yep.
Defensive Player of the Year. Deserved?
Absolutely. He has some tough competition, Tony. I know he didn't play like it last night, but Noah has been the best player on that team and one of the most valuable in the league. LeBron James passed Larry Bird on the all-time playoff scoring list. Is that a big deal to you?
No. When he's done, he's going to be near 1 or 2. I mean, he's got a lot more games to play. Jim Buss says he will quit if the Lakers don't contend for a title in 3 to 4 years. Do you believe him?
I don't know, but that's what passes as hope for Laker fans these days. 2 NBA Game 2s tonight. Grizzlies, Thunder, Warriors at Clippers. Who you got, Tone?
I don't think the Warriors can take 2 there, so I will take the Clippers. And I'll just take a shot on Memphis getting a win. Last one, 4 NHL Game 3s tonight. Who you got?
Jackets, Avalanche, Ducks, and Blackhawks get back into the series.
What a homer you are.
You're a total homer.
We're out of time. We will try and do better the next time, and I am Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. Check out the PTI podcast on iTunes.
Rest in peace, Bobby Abbo, our dear friend.
PTI.
When it comes to mailing and shipping, there just aren't a lot of good choices. You could go to the post office, but that takes up too much time. You could lease a postage meter, but that's too expensive. Luckily, there's a better way. Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, you can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package right from your desk using your own computer and printer. You'll even get special postage discounts you can't find at the post office. And with Stamps.com, you get more features than a postage meter at a fraction of the cost. And right now, you can get this special offer from Stamps.com when you use promo code PTI. A no-risk trial, plus a $110 bonus offer that includes a digital scale and up to $55 free postage. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in PTI. That's Stamps.com, promo code PTI.
The next big thing, the next new kid, the next overnight sensation, the next rookie, one to watch, the next Hall of Famer, the next intimidator, the next 6-time, the next king. Next. Who's next? Let's find out. Names are made here. The History 300 at Charlotte, Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on ABC.